I love cheese decks. It feels like there's not enough, like, cheese decks in Runeterra. It feels like there should be more decks that can just basically ass pull random wins. And that's why I've liked elusives. Elusives feel like they can do that. I don't know. It's pretty great. So we got Herder Cannon, Shen Fiora. Shen Fiora, Herder Cannon. Wow. I think I need the core cards. I want to mulligan aggressively for either Snacks or Yip. I do need one thing to stick a buff on the elusives. It's too early for these cards because of that. I think I have to full mulligan. I don't think keeping Thermo or Mystic is important enough here. So here's the double Aurora. Yeah, and that's why I considered keeping Thermo, but again, we're a little too dependent on our own strategy, I think. Like, hitting Poros next is, I think, too important. And if we hit double Poros next, we can just kind of win. His deck is also not really aggressive enough to be too scary if I float a couple turns. Like, I'm kind of fine with this.
By my honor, you must die.
I mean, if I pass here, he could try to, like, be cheeky and burn my mana. And I almost don't even mind my mana being burned if I'm taking less damage. I could also play a Mighty Poro and just threaten to snacks it, and that's not even bad. I'll take it. Mighty Poro is an underrated card in general. Yeah. Sweet. Patched Poro bot goes for Lifesteal plus the Herder. Alright. That's not bad. Lifesteal's pretty not amazing. But, I mean, we do need to get, like, the Poros onto the board. I guess we go for Herder first and see what we draw. It's kind of, like, too early to go for Von Yip. And we're not open attacking here quite yet. I do want to, like, be able to curve something here. And now I guess it's Poro bot. It does feel like we're kind of locked into Poro bot just for the curve. Like, I feel like the curve is pretty incredibly important here. I mean, at 2 mana, he doesn't really have a great block for this if I leave up Fury. So I can probably just attack with Mighty Poro. Get in 3 free damage, and then play the patched Poro bot after looks fun. I mean, at 2, he's not really going to do much. And then I just, like, curve with patched Poro bot. The only reason being, like, we just want a buffed body from Snacks. And we want to be able to Von Yip when we have more Poros. Let's say I wanted to play Gangplank. What's the best way to play Gangplank right now you can think of? That's a good question. I mean, Gangplank in aggro decks is still fine. You can run it in, like, a go hard deck. You can run it in... Gangplank Sejuani's pretty underrated. I guess, like, a Gangplank burn aggro would still maybe be best. It's less good than it was some time ago, but still fine. I've got great tricks here. Like, I can literally almost triple trick this. But I've got, like, a lot of sequences. I've got any combination of these 2 tricks. So it keeps me very flexible for this combat. Gangplank Ezreal is really good at TM too. Really? Is it? I've seen like 1 or 2 Gangplank Ezreal decks. Not a ton. Okay. I mean, I'm still fully committed to just, like, spamming tricks on his attack. He doesn't really have a good enough pass here. Like, his strategy has to attack, right? He's getting the support, he's getting the challengers. So he can't really feel good about burning my mana. This feels sweet. I'm pretty happy with just a Troll Chant to start things off. I think we can also try to, like, use Lifesteal a little bit too while keeping something alive. So I'm pretty happy using Troll Chant to probably minus the Fiora's attack is a bit better. So plus health here, minus the Fiora. And then get a free block here and see what happens. And again, we're keeping mana up for remaining stuff as well. So we're ready if he plays something else. Then if he doesn't, we just develop our Von Yip. Von Yip is too slow to be any good in this deck? Really? That's surprising. I mean, if anything, I want this deck to have more support for Von Yip. Right? Like, Von Yip is one of the reasons I like this deck. It feels like it's not really built around it very well. So, it's a single combat here. Just kind of, like, freely kills my thing, keeps his guy alive. I guess we can just Snacks here. It does kind of diminish our ability to play the Von Yip, but we're killing the Brightsteel Protector for free. and healing for more off the lifesteal, so I guess we're forced into snaxing here. What if I just Fury? Fury's pretty funny too. This might be the best Fury we're getting. The only problem with Fury is, like, if he has a third trick, then it might have been better to just snax instead. Fury's interesting. I don't know if I love it enough in this deck. So 17 to 15. Poro Herder. I think we can Von Yip for the one Poro. Nah, it's still too early. Von Yip wants the cheese for later. Yeah, I guess it's just Poro Herder here for now. There's no open attack we have. Go for it. Okay, so we've got a really good Poro snacks here on a 4 Poro board.
River shape the land and give it life.
There could also be a call to take Aurora Borealis more aggressively as well. Like, we can Aurora there. So the reason I'm okay playing like the 1-mana thing before I play Von Yip is maybe erroneously because I'm trying to, like, Von Yip is just more of like an enabler for the elusive over the top condition. And because we've got the cannons in our deck and a decent amount of draw, we are going to get there pretty much no matter what, right? So, I mean, we don't really want to use snacks proactively if possible. But being mana efficient is a little too important here. Like, our hands makes mana efficiency such a priority. And the thing is, he's kind of forced to play around snacks either way. It's pretty close. Bit of a stalemate here. I mean, he's winning this stalemate. Like, he's getting value per every attack with basically all of his effects. River Shaper is pretty great here. We can Aurora into 1 snacks, not Aurora into 2. Wonder, like, how well this deck has the ability to just purely outscale. Like, if we just keep playing the Auroras, I wonder if we can literally just out mid-range this guy. That's pretty funny. That's a nice win condition for matchups like this for sure. Like, it's a card that does just give, like, a pretty crazy amount of long-term value. It's like Progress Day. So our non-Poro keyword cards don't really matter, whereas the Poros are all gonna get stronger because I have a crazy amount of Aurora Borealis. So we do need to watch out for stuff like Fiora. Actually makes a pretty big difference here. We can start with just like 1 Poro snacks. I could see an argument for Aurora. Is Aurora actually better here? We would lose Mystic Shot. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess I'm just passing Cure. He has Shen ability. Yeah, I mean, if he has Shen ability, I don't know if we can actually win this game with Shen's spell. Like, we can take like wide blocks, but if we like trade both of these down anyway, like we're in really, really bad shape. We don't really have the ability to block the River Shaper here. Why not Mystic Fiora? I could Mystic Fiora, to be honest. Mystic Shot isn't, like, Fiora's not that scary to me. She's a 0-2 out of, in terms of her effects. Like, here, I think I'm getting more value out of saving Mystic Shot reactively. Because his deck is all spells, right? At least his hand is all spells. And I really want to be able to use Mystic Shot after he's played his spell instead of before. So, I mean, I could try to hit the Caretaker now that he's committed that. It's harder for it to save. Or I could Mystic the Fiora now. That does potentially stop a level up. It's like, that's a bit of value too. He has less ways to protect her. Still could have a way to protect her. Yeah, this is probably the better Mystic. I'll try it. So yeah, just like forcing the men out first. It's just because of the hands read. Like, his deck is basically has a lot of spells, and any hands that he's attacking here with would have at least like 2 tricks that I'd always have to keep in mind. Wow. I don't even know if I could see an argument that Yip isn't even worth playing here, but I think this has to be the Yip. There's just no way it's not. Daring Poro is not bad here. Open attack doesn't really do much. I think it's literally just better to be flexible though. Like, I don't think I need the action efficiency because we're always gonna Aurora Borealis here anyway. So I can Daring Poro first. We don't have to Poro snacks off the Aurora this turn. We'll do a little bit later. 5 mana, so he could have Concerted Strike for the Von Yip. I think we can just Aurora here. We tap under like Mystic Shot, which if he has Concerted Strike, a second Concerted Strike, I really want to Mystic Shot this River Shaper, like really, really, really badly. And if we play the other Poro from this, we lose that ability. Let's see what our Aurora Borealis gets, I guess. It's just Porofly, so I guess I can open attack first just to pass priority back to him, see what he does. If it is Sharp Sight, Sharp Sight's gonna have to come out eventually anyway, right? Porofly is the nut. What, for like a kill condition with Heart of the Plucked? Or what? I mean, it can't be the nut here, though. Okay, I'm actually not really that afraid of Sharp Sight, because I think now I can actually Mystic Shot the River Shaper, and with 1 card and 3 mana and single combat already used, I don't think he actually has a response to this, which is a really big deal. Although he'll like open attack on the Yip. Man, I think killing the River Shaper while I have the opportunity to is more important. Like, we're just going to a super grindy matchup. Attacking with the Daring Poro might have been wrong.
It must be done.
There's just no way to like stop Sharp. Like, if he uses Sharp Side there, then I have the snipe on the River Shaper, and that's such a big deal. I'm pretty happy with how that went. Okay. I mean, at this point, I probably have the ability to play around a Shen spell. I have like the double Poro snacks. I think I'm committed into using these for sure. Double snacks will basically flip the board. And at this point, since like we actually have pretty good dominance here, I think we have, yeah, we can just play around Shen spell and make sure we don't die to some random thing for no reason. I don't think we need the Von Yip anymore since we're outgrinding anyway. Like, this is a good enough swing, and we have the other Aurora in hand, that now we have the ability to play safe. Now we, like, the game is in a pretty different state than it was a few turns ago. Where, like, he could have had the Shen spell that I think would have just killed us anyway. But at this point, this feels good. So, he passes with 9 mana up. Basically means his hand has to be spells. Any unit he could have had, he would have played there, right? So that's a really important hand read. We do have like the Daring here, so we can just go ahead and Aurora again, right? It just keeps us like the most flexible. Deny. Yeah, Deny is very likely. Of course, that is a complete blank in this matchup. It doesn't really do anything at all to us here. Daring Poro is a bit more flexible than Mighty here. But we just outgrinded this guy, basically. We can play defensive. Again, we're not really in a hurry to close out this game. We should assume our Mystic Shot is getting denied, right? I mean, it seems kind of bad to attack in with the Overwhelm here. Feels like it doesn't quite do enough. This is interesting. It's actually a little slow. Because we can't really, like, counter barriers. It is going to be kind of important to, like, threaten the Shen, though. Oh, man. I think challenging Shen is fine. Like, that feels pretty good. Some of these decks run like 1 Judgment, by the way, which is very funny and actually something we might have to play around just because we want to be pretty safe. I guess this is fine. A Shen spell to protect both is a little awkward. I guess I can just leave the Mighty Poro back. But if it's like a lifesteal barrier, that doesn't really matter that much to me, right? All things considered. The thing is, I just don't think we're really losing the late game. The reason why killing the River Shaper was so important was because it gives us something he doesn't have, which is the ability to play for the long term, the ability to play for the late game. So I can Mystic Shot here. It'll pretty much always cancel out with a Deny on his side, but I'm never going to get him tapped under Deny anyway. That's not happening, so I mean, I'll take a very small chance to kill this, whatever. And even if he denies it, which is very likely, it doesn't matter because, you know, my mana is not being, like, oh, we can't really use this mana for anything else anyway. Like, we're still just playing the same cards here. So now, the way he outvalues me is just by, yeah, spamming the barriers. So single combat. That's pretty good. It kind of like efficiently uses his hands. But now he's kind of out of cards, so we can just slow play this. Like if his Shen, if he doesn't draw something to protect his Shen, like he can attack and threaten this cute barrier, but that's not gonna do anything because his Shen finally dies. And the Poro cannon will just kill him next turn, no matter what.
So I go.
So you might have drawn something to protect Shen. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, we can just block both. This Poro cannon is basically just lethal anyway, unless I'm missing something. Yeah, he drew the strike, which is fine. Obviously, Poros next doesn't change anything at all here. It's a lot of damage. And since we're not really afraid of developing into him next turn, Poro Cannon can be used next turn off of something else so that we can play Mighty Poro too. Right? Like, there's no reason to play either of our cards here. There we go. So we can get a free Lonely Poro. It's not like it really matters. Discard this Nimble Poro. Discarding the 6/6 is kind of funny. And yeah, just like the eventual Overwhelm. So yeah, Aurora Borealis is basically a card just for like the super grindy matchups. Demacia is like a good example. Like this deck is basically the best example of that. I guess this attack is fine. Top deck Judgment time. Could be top deck Judgment. I mean, at that point, so the thing about like playing around stuff and the idea of like reading the opponent's hand is really important. It's like, I don't think at that point we play around top deck Judgment. The odds of him, so the thing to understand about hand reading is that the odds of a top deck happening are really low compared to the odds of something that's worth playing around being in the hand. Because things that are important to play around sit in the hand for multiple turns, right? So like when we look at that situation, the odds of him having Judgment, and again, Judgment's not likely, it's very low likelihood, but there was a turn where we had the ability to play around it without costing us anything. And like, okay, so think in these terms. If he had drawn Judgment at that point, at any point in the game up until that point we checked for Judgment, it would have been in the hand. So he had literally about 12 draws to hit it. Maybe a bit less before the mulligan. And then the River Shaper had like 2 spell draws as well, right? And if it was just the Judgment off the top, then it's 1 draw to hit it, right? So it's literally, depending on how you do the math, something along the lines of like 10 times is more likely the first time we played around it than that attack. And that's like a little bit counterintuitive, but it's how card game math works, right? So this idea of like, when we're hand reading, if we do a check for a specific card and then he doesn't have it, or if we see him empty his hand and he doesn't have it, then we no longer have to play around that card. And if he just top decked it, then that's unlucky, and that's fine, but it's rare. Zed Lucian. So Zed Lucian is pretty aggressive here. Troll Chant is great here, but I don't actually think I want 2 of them. God, do I want 2? Zed Lucian gets like completely ass fucked by Troll Chant in every sense of the word. What if I just keep fucking both of them? How stupid is this? Like, he's not gonna kill me before I use them. Both of his quick attacks units just die to this. Like, what's gonna happen here?
Push back the darkness.
It's not stupid, it wins? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not stupid, it wins. I mean, he may attack me here, that's fine. I don't need to bank more than this, right? So yeah, this is the one we tank. I'm not gonna do anything weird here, it's just 1 damage. I don't think there's a reason to go in for this unit mana here quite yet. We do want to bank a little bit. We've got like Poro, Snacks plus Affectionate Poro. Honestly, I could just try to go in for that, see what happens. Depending on what he does. Maybe he plays a Zed here. Singular Combat. Who the heck plays Singular Combat? If he has it, he'll probably try it on the herder anyway.
Where did that one run off to?
Nobody plays singular combat in Zed Lucian. Alright, great. And now, with double Troll Chant, he's kind of like... kind of screwed. Like... he can't... his champions just die. Like, what does he do? I guess since he's not open attacking, I can brawl him and just single Troll Chant. That's even better. Great. Sweet.
Protect and strike.
Oh yes, give me my Braum damage. So, in all likelihood, the fact that he's attacking at all here means he has to be on a trick to try to kill the Braum, I guess. If he has like a repost to try to kill Braum, I can like sort of greed this and get both. I mean, that's kind of stupid to do this block. I mean, if he's not tricking here, do I care? Whatever. This is funnier. Because like, if this is some kind of trick to threaten the Braum, then, I mean, we just do this. Okay. Neat! Second sharp sight, let's see it, buddy. Oh! Okay, resolve. Resolve to keep the Lucian up. Holy shit. Get destroyed, dude. Emote. Guys, I've kind of like, I've gone past my emoting ways recently. I used to be a dirty emoter, but I've recently discovered the error of my ways. I think I've hurt too many people. And it's... I'm a different person now. I'm not that guy anymore. Whee! Oh god. Yeah, do it again. Oh, what a great game. I mean, at 5, he's on nothing. I guess I can just lonely Poro here. Nothing's stopping me. Man, Demacia is such a bad region.
New recruit reporting in.
Does Demacia actually have a single good deck? I think the only reason to ever run Demacia before was to beat, like, Shadow Isle's control. Like, Shadow Isle's Freljord control. But nobody even plays that deck anymore. Scouts is good now. Well, okay, I'm exaggerating. Don't get me wrong. It's not like Scouts is bad, but it's not... I mean, it's not... Like, they don't have a tier 1 deck, and I think that most of their lower tier deck, like tier 2 decks, which is still good decks, they're still fine. You can do well with them, you can climb to master with them, but mostly they are exploitative decks. I'll accept this tribute. Thank you. Yeah, he's given up at this point. He knows, guys. He knows. I mean, honestly, since he's already... I'm just gonna do this, because it's, like, it's not even the right play, of course, but in a game like this, might as well just go for it. I have to. Whatever. Is this Masters or normal? This is Masters. You guys ever wonder why I say that, like, I've said about a lot of decks you can climb to Masters with this. This is why.
There's a chill in the air. Trust me.
Trust me, they add up. Bam. Take this, Lucian. This 2-2 is just dick swinging along with the process. He doesn't really belong here, but it doesn't really matter either. Jesus Christ. Alright, good luck, buddy. Purify? Yeah, he could purify me. True. I await that top deck purify. A block with Lucian in case he drew repost. And of course, we just have all the tricks here. Man, I don't know if I like Fury of the North enough in this deck. Fury of the North as a card feels a little, I guess, outdated in a way. Like, it's not really because it got nerfed +1 attack. Like, it used to be +4/+4. That, I guess, was part of it. Really, the reason Fury isn't played anymore is because of Troll Chant. Like, that's the biggest reason. It's like, you don't have that much space to spam a bunch of combat tricks, and Troll Chant is just kind of better. And especially in this deck where it's like, it's a nice flexible card that works well with our game plan because of it. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes! It's outdated because Freljord got some super powerful tricks all of a sudden. Yeah, what happened there? Me too, buddy. Alright. That's a pretty sick deck. So overall, I think from this deck, yeah, my inclination would be like, I think fairly minor changes. Like overall, it works as a deck. I would like to see, I think if I played it a lot more, I'd be able to change more things. I think like -1 Fury, +1 Daring, or maybe even +1 Braum. Like, I do like Braum in this deck. I think I'm fine with 1 Fury. I'm down with 1 Fury, I really am. But between Troll Chant and even Poros Nax, it feels like most of the games we are losing are off of like less stable hands, right? We need a little bit more reliability in this concept. So a really big... So one way to look at this deck, which is really important, is that we're really built around a pretty narrow strategy here, which is Poros Nax, right? Like, Poros Nax as a card is the lifeblood of Poro decks. That's the entire reason we're doing this, basically. And when we don't draw it, that's not good for us. So one of the things we have to think about is, like, you know, in deck building and mulliganing are very interrelated, right? And I think this deck wants to be built in a way that leans into an aggressive mulligan, right? Because if we kick things aggressively, then we can hit Poros Nax more often, because it's a very key component to the deck. And what that means is that in the deck builds, we need cards that offer a little bit more consistent stability, right? Because cards like, too many cards, like, depending on things like Fury of the North, can make it harder to, like, mulligan very deep, you know? And that's very important, because if we draw, like, a super spell heavy hand with Fury, that can be a big punish towards the mulligan this kind of playstyle wants you to do. So that's, you know, part of the reason why I would cut down Fury by 1. I'm not sure what the best card to add in its place is. I'm pretty happy with like a 3rd Daring Poro. I don't know that it's the best slot in here. I don't mind 2 Daring Poros. Honestly, I don't. A few different things this could be, but yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with just like that slot and toying around with it.